Okay, the difference between inference and statistical inference. You can say that inference has to do with the conclusion reached on a basis of what? An evidence or reasoning. You must have reasoned over an issue or a situation or particular speculations or perhaps an assumption, and you reason it and then you come up with a conclusions on the basis of such evidence that you have or reasoning that you have undergone. At that point, you are actually making an inference. Now, over to statistical inference. Statistical inference is actually the process which inference is the process through which inference, that is talking about reasoning or evidence processes about a populations, are made based on certain statistics calculated from a sample based on what? The sample data that is taken. What we mean? An inference, statistical inference cannot do without incorporating the knowledge of what? Inference based on the population made on a certain statistical calculations or calculated from a sample of datas. And these datas must have been drawn from what? A population. And that is how we know that at a population can certainly be somehow bulky, but it is only the knowledge of sample that makes it more easy to penetrate. Hence, it must have a conclusive stand. It must have a conclusive what? Stance. That is what we mean by statistical inference. Also, in estimation by confidence interval, a confidence interval estimates of the unknown parameters. A confidence interval estimates what? Of unknown parameters is also an interval computed from random samples of what? Values, depending on the value like x1, x2, x3, depending on the event. It could be event 1, event 2, and until event n, probably depending on the value you want to give the m, with a statement of what? How confident it stands. And that is why you have the particular expressions that are confirmed whether you have it in a confidence coefficient or level of what? Confidence. So these are two things to consider when you're making a precision. Okay. Remember, we are still talking about estimations based on the type of what? The statistical inference. Now, when we talk about estimations, we will still consider the types of estimations so that we don't bore ourselves only on one single knowledge. We have a point estimation and interval estimations. Of course, point estimations it produces a single value. Why that of what? Interval estimation produces what? A range of values, like what you can see. Some persons say a range of value of 1 to 10, and all that. An interval between 1 and 10. Within that range, but a point estimate could be just 1, or it could be just 10. All right. However, we have criteria for what? Notwithstanding, to be honest with you, we have a criteria for a good point what? Estimator. For you to ascertain a good point estimator, it must be what? There must be an unbiasedness, there must be consistency, and there must be efficiency. And also, you will go on to confirm the sufficiency, therefore. And having gotten this knowledge, it is good for us to explain them one after the other. Unbiasedness will mean in expected values of what? Estimate is equal to what? Population parameters. If it must not be biased, make sure the good point estimator, for you to ascertain a good point estimator, that particular value of estimator is not permitted not to be equal. It must be what? Equal to the population